Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 11. So Module 11 is still in the middle of working on the argument essay. In the previous module, you submitted a rough draft to me for feedback and you gave yourself some self-editing feedback. Now what you're going to do is take that same file and submit it to the online writing lab as well as to your peers. So this will be our peer edit assignment for the class. It works a little bit differently than maybe you have done before, and so I'm going to go over the assignment because sometimes students get themselves confused. The other thing you want to remember is that because we are submitting for feedback, we need to allow time for that feedback to happen. And so there is an earlier deadline for actually getting your file to the right place. You've already written it, so it should not take any extra effort other than just going in and actually clicking and submitting. So just keep that in mind, that that rough draft does need to be done so that you can get it submitted to the right place correctly. I'll be posting a lot of reminders about this internal deadline, but I always have students who miss it. So just kind of keep aware, be aware of everything that's going on in the class so you don't miss out on points. So this is what Module 11 looks like. You can see the two assignments here that you're completing. The writing lab feedback goes through BrainFuse. Unfortunately, I can't show it to you at the moment because the BrainFuse link is not working through Canvas right now. But by the time you actually get to doing this assignment, it should be working. If you click on this link, it'll bring up the BrainFuse page and it's pretty easy to navigate. I will also be sending a task to your email. And so what that means is I've filled out like the information about the paper. All you have to do is follow the link that it sends you and then just tell them if there's any areas of concern with your essay and then browse and upload your file. The file that you submit, you can submit a PDF. However, they will not be able to provide you with more specific, like inline feedback. They can only do the kind of general feedback on the form. So if you want some more specific feedback from them, you want to make sure that you submit using a docx, that kind of thing. If you have questions about that, you can always email me, but there's lots of resources under this using the online writing lab button, and some of you probably have used it before. So the main thing I want to concentrate on is this peer edit assignment. So once you have a rough draft done, you can just go in and submit it here. You do not need to make any changes to your rough draft. It can be the exact same one that you submitted to me. So once you have submitted, you'll see over here that submission details, you have something submitted, and then under here, assigned peer reviews, there are none assigned, and that's because the deadline has not passed yet. So Wednesday, October 29th at 11:59 p.m., all students who have a file submitted to this assignment will get 2 peers essays. If you do not have a file submitted, so there's nothing here, you will not get any peer reviews. It only trades students who have something submitted. So that's really important to remember. You don't have to do anything yet. You just submit your file. So you just put your file in there, right? So now that once this deadline passes, then you'll have 2 names here. When you click on one of their names, it will bring up a page that looks like this. Right in the middle, you can see their file, and then you can see view feedback. It does not make this obvious as to what you should be doing, but you're going to click on this view feedback. The view feedback is the docu-viewer that allows everyone who has access to that essay to see the feedback that's left on it. And so we're going to expand it out so you can see what it looks like, and you'll see your peer's essay like this. Then you can leave feedback the same way that I do when I go in to grade your essay. So the main one that I would use, this is my preference, is the little bubble commenter because it's specific, but also because it shows my name over here. And then I remember that I've done that comment, right? The other things that you can do, some students really like the highlighter, and so they'll leave feedback that way. And because you can change the color, you could use one color for, you know, if you see like grammar errors are always going to be in orange, and then errors and something else might be blue. So you can kind of color code your feedback if you want. And then you can strike things out. You can draw as well, which is kind of cool. Some students will draw shapes, but you want to make sure that you're leaving feedback for everything. And then you can leave text as well. The only problem with the text is it does not tell me who put that in there. And so you want to make sure that your name appears on the side at least 10 times so that you get your credit for leaving 10 comments on their work. The comments can range anything from just kind of general ideas for improvement to things that you liked or things that you think could be reworded. You do not need to have a specific like a solution to the problem, but you do want to be highlighting sentences or marking sentences that don't make sense, that kind of thing, or suggestions for adding, suggestions for improvement. They're all suggestions. The student may not end up actually using them, and that's fine. You're just leaving them feedback. So keep in mind also that these are fairly short essays, and you'll have each essay is assigned to 2 people. So you may see somebody else's name here. That doesn't mean that you don't have to leave any comments. That means you have to find something new to comment on. And so just keep in mind you're responsible for 10 comments for each peer. So 10 for each of the 2 that's been assigned to you. Once you click out of it, those save automatically. In fact, they'll get a notification immediately as soon as you leave a comment. The next thing that you do is go up here to show rubric. The rubric will appear. It will look slightly different for you since I'm in my own essay right now. It looks different and I can't leave any feedback. But basically you'll have these different categories, and for each category you have to decide, could it use some improvement or are there no issues? And if there are no issues, then it matches the description there. If it needs improvement, you'll be able to click on it, and then over here on the side there will be a comment button, and so then you can leave that feedback in there for that category. Now the only issue with these rubrics is you have to go down to the bottom and you'll have a submit button, so you do have to submit that, but once you've submitted, you cannot make any changes. So if something happens and you submitted it early or you didn't finish filling it out, then you want to leave more feedback here, you can do that. I also do not want you downloading their file and then uploading it back to them here in the comment box for a couple of reasons. First of all, it'll tell you that you're not done with the peer edit when you go into your Canvas. And then second of all, there are often issues with file transferability. So they may not be able to view those comments. I might not be able to view those comments to be able to get you your points for them. So just make sure that you're using the Canvas feedback tools. Otherwise, you're not going to get full credit for this assignment. So this module, like I said, the early deadline is usually what messes students up. There's not a whole lot in the module itself. It's just making sure that you get your file submitted early enough to participate. And then for the rest of the module, so after that Wednesday deadline, then you can go in and actually leave the feedback for your peer and get the feedback from BrainFuse. So BrainFuse will be through that link. They'll email or they'll send it to you. They won't email you. They'll send it to you in BrainFuse, and then you'll upload that here. So by the end of the module, you should have feedback from 2 peers, me, yourself, and the online writing lab, and be ready for module 12, which is to actually finish up the argument draft, finish up the final draft of the argument essay and get it ready to submit. So if you have any questions, any issues throughout the week, please feel free to send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.